Welcome to Policing TV. Each week we will explore the highlights from our latest videos, diving into topics like AI, technology, drugs, and the people shaping the future of policing. Staffordshire Police gave us great access into the workings of their road crime team. Driving in an unmarked car, we were provided an in-depth look at the experiences of police officers in Staffordshire, focusing on their roles in road policing, the proactive measures taken to ensure road safety, and the processes involved in handling road incidents, including drug testing.
And we're about to head off onto the motorway network, so
that's the plan.
Off we go.
I had an interest in traffic. I did 2.5 years as a special constable before I joined as a regular officer. As a special, you come in and you make your own work. So a lot of that was traffic-based, road-based. I used to come in a lot on evening times. Numerous arrests as a special for drink driving and stuff like that. So you start to learn your basics there, and then joined as a regular. Got exposed to response policing, which I absolutely love. I love responding to the 999 calls, but I loved going out and being proactive and focusing on the fatal 4 offences and just being on the roads. And I just felt like that's what I always wanted to do. So it might not be what I do for my whole career, but I'm certainly happy where I've only been as a regular now for coming up to 6 years. So I've got a fair few years ahead of me, so things might change, but I'm definitely happy here where I am now.
So I started the police back in 2010, where I joined as a special constable at Stafford. I did almost 3 years as a special before joining the regulars, where I was posted to Lichfield. I did 2 years on response, and now I've been quite fortunate really. I've been on the ops teams ever since about 2016, where I joined firearms initially and did about a 4.5 to nearly 5 year stint with firearms. That sort of gave me the bread and butter. We did a lot of roads policing back then as well on firearms, stopping the cars, going after your drug dealers, your criminality in cars. And then when the opportunity came up for joining the roads policing teams, I jumped at it. And I've been on here now for 4.5 years almost. It'll be 5 years at the end of September. So it's brilliant. It's a great role. Get to be proactive. Get to go out looking for stuff and make your own work. Really make your own luck. We're not as busy being sent to jobs such as our response colleagues are. They're getting to domestics, burglaries, that sort of stuff. We've definitely got to go out. We've got to find our own work. So it just takes certain people to come on here to be proactive and work at it really. But yeah,
We've got uses, haven't we, when there's a pursuit or you've got your stolen cars on the roads. We're the ones that will be that tactical resource to bring a safe resolution to anything that's happening on the road. So the response and neighbourhood officers on the local policing teams, some of them are AIPIO trained, so they're initial pursuit phase trained. So if they find themselves where they're pursuing a vehicle, will be called in as tactical containment and pursuit trained officers to come and bring that to a safe resolution as quickly and as effectively as possible. So we sometimes we'll be trying to make our own work and we'll just get called to the other end of the county to go and do some road crime work. So it's a mixed bag, isn't it? Some days are quicker than others. So we've had an immediate response come in for Stafford services. We're just not entirely sure whether it's southbound or northbound, so we're going to go and check the southbound and our colleagues are going to go and check the northbound. It's a call to say that there's been a Toyota Hilux involved in a collision on the motorway. They've momentarily lost control, they've managed to regain control and they've pulled off into the services, which is good. It means we don't have to worry about anything that's happening here. Our informant said that the driver is slumped over the wheel at the moment, so we've got considerations whether it's going to be a medical episode or if it's going to be a drink or drug driver. So we're going to make to that location now, see if we can find them, have a chat with them, make sure they're okay, and if there is any offences we need to be concerned about, deal with them appropriately. So potentially the RTC's not happened on the motorway, it's happened as he's pulled into here. He's clipped a bollard. So completely taken that off. He's lost his actual mirror from inside there. yeah, done some more damage to himself. We probably just got to wait a few minutes before he breathalyses him because he's had a drink while he's been sat here, non-alcoholic. But just so that we do it properly, he'll wait for a lot of time before he takes a specimen of breath.
So our colleague PC Blood is just going to be doing a drink drive and a drink drive examination with the driver in the back of his car. If they're both negative, then the chap will be on his way. There'll be no further issues. If one of those comes back positive, the likelihood he's going to be arrested. He'll be taken into custody where we'll do some evidential testing. Drug driving, it's always a blood sample. 9 times out of 10 for drink driving, it will be an evidential breath test. And then depending on the outcome of that will be the decision of what's made further down the line. Obviously we'll have to look at CCTV because we've not seen him driving, statements from any witnesses and compile together for the Crown prosecution to review basically. But like I said, we'll wait for the outcome and see where we go.
Our second video saw the MD of PolicingTV, Tomson-Smith, speak with Kath Pickles, the founder of Restitute, about the organisation's mission to support families and caregivers of victims of sexual abuse and violence. In this clip, Kath shares the challenges faced by families in navigating the support systems after such traumatic experiences.
Not really with anybody having that level of awareness. What I should probably explain is that when a child discloses sexual abuse, the police get involved and very often social services do. Social services will come in to the family home and they will do an assessment. And what they're assessing for is risk, which is their primary aim is to make sure, is this child still at risk? And of course, she was living in a home where the abuse hadn't happened. We were fortunate it wasn't a family member. We were a stable, normal, average, good enough family. So the police and social services, the police realised that they weren't going to have enough evidence, and social services realised that we were a good enough family and that my daughter was safe in terms of there was no chance of her being abused again in the house. And at that point, they both withdrew. We then disappeared from the system and had very little support in terms of trying to manage any of the issues that we were dealing with. We didn't really know how to deal with disclosures. We had 3 years where we knew she'd been abused, but we didn't know by who. We didn't know how to manage that. We didn't know how to manage things to do with school, with mental health, with housing. All these different challenges, physical health issues started to come up. So we were literally running around. It felt like we were the centre of the spoke trying to coordinate everything for the care of my daughter. And that was absolutely, completely exhausting. Now, my background means that I used to work in local government. So I had a really quite good idea about the system. But even for me, it was completely flummoxing to try and work out where I was going or what I was doing. And we worked out at one point there was 96 different organisations or people that I had to have the conversation with that started, there's something you need to know. 96. And that is putting all the teachers of her class, of all of her different classes, in one box. 96. So it was no wonder that we were pretty knackered. My husband was working full-time. We're not a well-off family. We're not a family, really average, average salary, average life, average house. My husband was still working full-time. So I had to give up work, which meant that my income completely crashed.
Lastly, we featured the annual event from the Australian Institute of Professional Intelligence Officers, AIPIO. It brings together the intelligence profession to connect, share insights, and shape the future of the industry. This year's theme, a thriving intelligence profession, and reflects their collective ambition to advance the capability, visibility, and impact of intelligence professionals across all domains. Thank you for watching. Tune in next week.